So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across 4 different pollsters.
As you know, the president is moving at lightning speed to fulfill the promises he made, those things that he can do via executive order, at least. And one of the most important things was border security and enforcement of existing laws. Just so everybody knows, the last president had the power to secure the border, enforce our laws, and deport criminal illegal aliens who are in this country. At any given moment, with the will, the president could have done that because that is, in fact, the law of the land. Everything that we've seen for the last 4 years from Joe Biden has been a president ignoring our existing laws, choosing not to enforce our laws. Now you're seeing this president enforcing those laws with vast deportation, starting with criminals who are in this country illegally. And guess what? Not only is it going to be popular with the people who voted for him because he's actually fulfilling a promise and doing exactly what he said he was going to do, but it's popular with a lot more people than that. The deportation of illegal aliens right now is the majority position of Americans in this country. Even CNN had to admit it. And CNN, as you can see this discussion go, is very concerned, not just that people believe that, but when they come to the realization that the people believe that despite what CNN has been telling them. In other words, CNN is very concerned that CNN's propaganda is not working with CNN's viewers.
Documented immigrants. So we have slightly different questions, but these were all taken within the last month. And there's real uniformity here. That's what I really think you see. You see real uniformity. Deported all immigrants who are here illegally, 55% of the New York Times. Marquette, 64%. CBS News, 57%. ABC News with a slightly different question, 56%. So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across 4 different pollsters.
So if they say yes today-ish, how has that changed over time?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, but I just want to highlight one other thing in this poll, which is really important because New York Times, Marquette, CBS News, ABC News, we're familiar with their polling. We watched their polls on an almost daily basis during the last year of the presidential election. And what do we know about how they poll on issues like this or about who's going to be the president? They're off by about 5 or 6 points. So as you see CBS News at 57%, it's probably more like 61 or 62%. Right? Because they're notoriously wrong in polling things like this. They skew in the wrong direction when they sample and when they extrapolate the numbers on behalf of the left, on behalf of Democrat positions. So I bet you the numbers are even more overwhelmingly in favor of supporting the president's move here to, again, I'll say it, enforce our existing laws. You don't like the fact that someone in this country illegally can face deportation? Then change the law. Change the law. But here in this country, we're supposed to follow the law. And that's what the law is right now. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, this is where I think you get very interesting. And so we'll take a look at that ABC News question in particular, because you can really see that there's been a massive shift from when Trump was first getting into office 8 years ago, right? Deport all undocumented immigrants. You go back to 2015, I'm going to come to your side of the screen. It was 42%. Hello. Go to 2016. It was 36%. Look at where we are now. This was taken at the end of last year, 56%. This is 20 points higher than it was just before Trump got into office the first time. So feelings towards immigration in this country, feelings towards undocumented immigrants and deporting all of them have become considerably more hawkish. And I think that gives Donald Trump much more leverage to go with the American people and sort of have these hawkish, some might say harsh, different rhetoric and also issue-based sort of going after immigrants who are here illegally. And so I think the American people are going to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt to do what he wants to do, at least if you believe these blunt questions, including this one.
Yeah, Harry, leave the editorial to the professionals here with your harsh and all that stuff. Let me just point out exactly what happened here. 42%. It's probably a little bit more. So it's about 50-50 prior to Trump getting into the election, thought that the people in this country illegally should be deported. And that's good because, again, that's the law. Why did it drop down in 2016? Because there was endless news cycle after endless news cycle from people on television, in the media, Democrats, and half of the Republicans who were running for president who said that it was wrong, hateful, xenophobic, and racist to believe that. So at that time, if you agreed that people should be deported, it means you're a racist like Trump. Right. So, of course, that number went down a little bit. So what happened between 2016 and 2024? Couple things. Number one, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and open borders and everything that came along with it happened. And number two, this whole, if you think that people in this country illegally shouldn't be here and the law should be enforced and they're deported, that makes you a racist. That whole thing. Yeah. See, we're done with that. We're not playing that anymore. Not happening. We're done. And that's why you see this number go up. And that's huge. It really is. We've matured as a country, I think, and we've grown some cojones.
How about immigration levels?
Yeah. Okay. So this sort of goes in line with that, right? Which is, again, trying to get at the underlying feelings. Want immigration levels decreased. This includes legal and illegal immigration. Look at this. Last year, 55%. That is the highest level since the 9/11 aftermath. You go back just to 2020.
And this, again, legal and
Legal
illegal. So they people want less people coming into the country.
Exactly. They want less people coming into the country. Look at that. That's a 14-point rise from 2023. You go back to 2016 when Donald Trump again was running for president the first time, it's 38%. That's a 17-point rise. So the bottom line is more folks want people who are here illegally deported, and their overall feelings towards immigration have become considerably more hawkish since Donald Trump was first getting in office.
And the best part about this is being revealed on CNN, a network that has taken it upon themselves for the last 8 years since Donald Trump came down that golden escalator. They've taken it upon themselves to lead the charge in screaming about anyone who dares to, well, believe that immigration levels, legal and illegal, should be decreased. Well, 55% of the American people say, screw you, CNN. CNN is so ineffective and so they have absolutely no influence. They are so uninfluential with the American psyche and the way we approach politics on a daily basis. They've been screaming at the rooftops at the top of their lungs with one type of messaging. You're not allowed to be on CNN if you dare disagree. And no one cares. No one listens. No one agrees with them. And it's a beautiful thing to see them actually discover this on CNN. So let's keep it on CNN, shall we? A little bit later in the day, Dana Bash had her chance on Inside Politics to talk to the border czar. Now, first day on the job there with the White House in the background. And she wanted to know about how the plans are going here. This whole deportation thing, is it happening? Tom Homan says it is happening. And Dana Bash says, and we're just focusing on the criminals, right? People have come into the country and have broken laws. Those are the only ones who are being deported. Not my nanny, not my gardener, not the people who wash the dishes at my very expensive Bethesda, Maryland restaurant, right? You're going to let them there, right? Right, Tom? And Tom had a great answer.
And so what is happening as we speak is limited to those with criminal records?
That's the target of this operation. But like I said many times, in places like sanctuary cities where we can't arrest a bad person in the jail, we would like to have access to the jail to arrest a criminal alien in the safety and security of a county jail, which is safer for the community, safer for the officers, safer for the alien. But when you release a public safety threat out of a sanctuary jail and won't give us access to him, that means we got to go to the neighborhood and find him. And we will find him. But when we find him, he may be with others. Others that don't have a criminal conviction but are in the country illegally, they will be arrested too. Because we're not going to strike, and this is a difference between the last administration and this administration. ICE is going to enforce the immigration law. There's nothing in the INA, the Immigration Nationality Act, says you got to be convicted of a serious crime in order to be removed from this country. So there's going to be more collateral arrests in sanctuary cities because they forced us to go in the community and find the guy we're looking for.
Let me just make sure that I understand what you're saying, because at first you said that the first targets are those with criminal records, but you are also saying that those who are undocumented in the U.S., also who don't have criminal records, people who are working in their communities, maybe even have spouses who are American citizens, they could be swept up with ICE today as well?
You're going to see the answer from Homan because it's great. But I love Dana Bash. I love all of these reporters and all of these people. all they are is a good haircut, and they have the ability to read a teleprompter. That's really what they bring to the table. Great haircut and the skill to read a teleprompter, which isn't always easy for people. What's confusing about this? The stammering, wait, I don't understand. But you said swept up. So illegal immigrants who don't have criminal records, they might get swept up. And Tom, it was very clear. Let's just be clear here, okay? If you missed it, because Tom Homan, he's got a New York accent. Not everybody can speak a foreign language. So let me translate for you. In a normal world, a world where everyone follows the law of the land of the United States of America, when your local police department or your local sheriff's office arrests someone for breaking the law and they run a check on them and it's discovered that they are in the country illegally, in a normal United States of America, that person is kept in the county jail. A phone call is made to the local federal authorities, now known as ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And as you just heard from Tom Homan, from now on, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, will be doing something radical and new. They will be enforcing immigration and customs laws. So your local sheriff at the county jail calls up the federal authorities at ICE and saying, hey, we arrested this person and he's here in the country illegally. What do you want us to do? And ICE, more often than not, will say, okay, we're going to issue a detainer for him. Hold on to him. We'll come get him. And then we'll proceed either with further criminal conviction at the federal level, or he will be deported back to his home country where he belongs. That's how the law works. That's how it's always been supposed to have worked. That's how it was meant to work. That's how the laws were written so that they would work. But then here's what happened. Some politicians at the federal level decided that they'd ignore all those laws. And so people were allowed to stay in this country illegally. Famously, mostly, it was during the Clinton years in the 90s when people were allowed to stay here, no ICE enforcement of any real significant level. Then George W. Bush ran for office and said, screw that, we got to start enforcing the law. And all of these cities and all of these counties and even some states started saying, oh, well, we're going to give sanctuary to these illegal immigrants. ICE may come by, but if we arrest them and we find out they're in the country illegally, we're not going to tell ICE. And then Obama became president, and boy, howdy, I mean, it was like times 10. Then Donald Trump won the presidency by saying, this is ridiculous. We're going to deport people if they're in this country illegally, and we're going to build a wall to keep them from coming in. And then you saw sanctuary cities on steroids. You saw entire states proclaim that if you're in the country illegally and you break the law, we're not going to hand you over to the feds. Think about that for a minute. You're actually telegraphing to criminals that if you break the law, you might suffer some state or local consequences, but don't worry, we're going to protect you, criminal. We're going to protect you from federal authorities. And so they created all of these sanctuary cities, sanctuary counties, and sanctuary states so that they wouldn't be handed over to ICE. And now if you live in a place like that, if you live in a place like California or New York or Illinois or Maryland or Washington, D.C., or parts of Virginia and other states who have decided that they're going to be sanctuaries, Massachusetts, oh, let's not forget Massachusetts. If you live in those places, state of Washington, state of Oregon, New Mexico, here's what happens. You arrest these people. They've broken the law. You don't hand them over to ICE. You release them back into the community. Now, here comes Tom Homan. Here comes Tom Homan with ICE agents. They're ready to deport all of these people with criminal records, and you know who they are, and you know where they are. You go to a state where they don't claim sanctuary status, where they are cooperating, really simple procedure. You drive to the jail, you get the person, you take them, they're in your custody now, everything's fine. But in those places where the bleeding hearts of Gavin Newsom has decided that they're going to protect people in this country illegally, so they send a criminal back into the neighborhoods where they live. Yeah, because under the guise of protecting the immigrant community, they are willfully putting criminals back into their neighborhoods so they can live next door to them. Now, when ICE goes to get them, instead of going to the jail to apprehend them and process them for deportation, they've got to go into the neighborhood and they've got to start knocking on doors and they've got to find them. And when they go into the house, And they say, oh, okay, you're here, we're looking for, but wait a second, who are you? Oh, you? Oh, you're in the country illegally too. Well, you're coming with us. Wait, but I haven't broken the law. I don't have a criminal record. I don't care. You're here. Our job is to enforce the law. So come on in. In fact, all 14 of you living in this house, you're all coming with us because of sanctuary policies, because of the bleeding heart of Gavin Newsom, because he wanted to protect people who were breaking the law in our country. He's actually responsible now for all the people getting swept up, as Dana Bash put it. They're not getting swept up. If you lived in a place that actually followed the law, and when they arrested a criminal illegal alien, they called ICE and ICE came and get them, then all of the people who wash your dishes, Dana, and babysit your kids and mow your lawn, they'd be fine. But because of your local mayor, your county executives, because of your governor, now you're going to lose your gardener, Dana. Sorry. Go ahead, Tom Homan. Take us home.
What I'm telling you is when we go find our priority target, which is a criminal alien, if he's with others in the United States illegally, we're going to take enforcement action against him. We're going to enforce the immigration law.
What happens then? So the ICE officers gets an individual or a set of individuals and apprehends them. What next? What do these ICE officers do with them? Because in some cases, and you know this far better than I, they haven't been deported in the past because their country of origin won't take them.
Well, what happens after arrest? They're taken to an ICE office and they're processed and put in detention. While they're in detention, ICE officers work on travel documents. The host country sends travel documents saying, yeah, this is our citizen, this is our national. Then we make flight arrangements. So they could be in detention from a few days for a few weeks until that removal was made happen.
What if the host country doesn't want them, as has happened in the recent past?
We have various plans. We have various plans. Other countries are willing to take them. We have third safe country removals. So that's something we're working through. But I think you're going to see less of the recalcitrant countries. Countries won't take their citizens back under this president, because this president has vowed that these countries will take them back. So I'll leave that up to the White House, but there will be negotiations with those countries who are pushing back on recalcitrancy, and they will be removed.
Yeah, these countries are going to take them. Trust me. They want to do any business with the United States of America, they're going to take them back. We got a new president in town. We got a new sheriff in town. And again, my favorite part of all of that is Dana Bash, paid political host of multiple television shows on CNN, who clearly, on one of the hottest topics in American politics, seems completely unclear about the law and about procedure and about the nuances of these laws and the ramifications of the policies of the left. She's dumbfounded, and I hope now she's been a little bit more educated. I know you have as well. Increased tariffs on our trade partners, absolutely on the table and being worked out as we speak. Tax cuts being worked out in the Ways and Means Committee, soon to be part of a big reconciliation package on the House floor. Regulation changes already being implemented through executive order. That's why right now gold is a viable diversification tactic now more than ever. With all those things in the news, it's affecting everything in the economy. Birch Gold is the only gold company I endorse. They're releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. It's a great book with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr., and it is yours for free, along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold. Now, that book, Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era, it's got a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. Get both of these amazing, very informative works. Just text my name, Larry, Larry, to the number 989898. Birch Gold is the company I recommend to help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. And that doesn't mean any money out of your pocket. These are existing IRAs or 401ks. You've already got that money. It's already sitting in those accounts. Birch Gold is going to help you convert them into gold, a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text my name, Larry, Larry, to 989898. Get that free copy of the Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era. No obligation, just information. A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Thousands of happy customers. Text Larry, Larry, to 989898. Do that today.